of the biggest problems in my golf bag is I have a huge gap between my driver and my 4-iron, and I've never been happy with the clubs in between there. So today we're gonna try to fix that. We've got Doug from True Spec here.
So right now you are looking at our True Spec mobile fitting unit. We actually have 3 of these that travel the entire country, going to different ranges at different clubs, fitting people in a brand agnostic fashion. So what does that even mean? Brand agnostic, meaning we have the ability to fit you for every major OEM product, every aftermarket shaft, to find out what's the best product for you. So in this mix of individuals, you've got some great putter coaches, you've also got some great club fitters, but I'm gonna grab you Ryan Cole, who's our fitter at Pine Needles, which is 6 miles from where we are here at Pinehurst. And Ryan is gonna walk you through probably one of the better fitting experiences you've had. So this is Ryan, he's gonna take you through and we're gonna get you dialed in.
We're gonna go blueprint this club and see where it's at. And then we'll go from there, okay? And kind of go over the numbers for us. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over here to our mobile and we're gonna blueprint what you've been playing. So we're gonna check our measurements, our CPMs, our swing weights and things like that. So we're checking our length. So we're just checking the specs of the golf club because it gives me a good idea of what you've been playing. Pings are typically high launching heads anyway. They create some good spin. So it's gonna give us a good indication of what we need to go with in the long game. So I wanna see you hit the 5 wood now after we got a couple of the specs on it. See what that's doing off the turf. When we're talking about fitting this part of the bag, you know, we want to get an idea of what we do on the course. Yep. So are we not attacking par 5s, or are you just looking maybe on the tee?
I mean,
short par 4s for this club, right?
Not so much.
Okay.
I mean, if I could get confident in a club off the ground,
yeah,
I would.
Which hasn't been there.
Hasn't been there. No.
Okay. All right. We'll walk over here and try to get some stuff. We're looking for more fade bias, high launching things, which is kind of a contradictive, but in a wood, we can use the loft to get the ball in the air. So that's why the 5 woods work so well for you. So when we're talking about players that like to cut the ball, you know, your lie angle on the woods is really important. I think that's something that's overlooked every once in a while, is making sure that at impact, we're flushing the ball to the point where we're keeping the aesthetic ball flight that player is looking for. Now you can either do that with shafts, or you can do it with lie angle, or just the bias of the head, okay? As far as shafts go, you know, we're gonna try something that, like I said before, maybe a little high launching. See, we're playing this Patterson shaft here in your irons. Really great product for what you like to do. Gets the ball elevated in the air, but it's also very stable. And believe it or not, it is a little bit more fade biased. So this actually works out well for you. So we have a couple on the cart there we'll probably start to try. All right, so basically, you know, what we saw in that first shaft there, so we might have to try to start changing shafts, would be, typically we don't do this, but if we start to see striking like that, it's changing the lie of the golf club. So since we want to stay flatter to hit a fade, we don't want it to be too soft. So theoretically, we want to try heads first, but since we're seeing that right off the bat, we're going to maybe move it to a different shaft, see if we can get a better test of the head.
Perfect, something a little stiffer.
Something just a little stiffer, yep. Kept the same head for now, and then we're going to try a different shaft here to see if we can get that strike a little more consistent. That way we're getting a nice test of the head.
Feels lighter.
Okay, good.
To me.
And it's actually not.
Okay.
So that's good. So that we're talking about there the balance of the shaft.
Okay.
Yep. So right away, smoked, right? That felt good, right? So that's, you know, typically, again, True Spec doesn't go that route, but if we see a very awkward strike, we're gonna try to move into something just to get a nice test of the head, okay? So right away, it's feeling a lot better, right?
Yeah.
The shafts have different balance points, the way the manufacturers, where they put the materials and things like that. So the feel of a shaft, you know, sometimes if it's too soft, you feel a lot of the head, or if it's balanced on the lower end, you're feeling a lot down there moving, and you're feeling the weight down there. So syncing the timing is gonna be very different. Historically, with your 5 wood there, it's on the lighter side, so you're kind of used to that weighting. Good.
Honestly, for me, fitting with, maybe I'm just like super picky about balance point. Is that common? Like just feeling that
People have
weight?
different feels. So like you said, that felt lighter, and actually the static weight is not. It's just where it's balanced. And where the materials are is a better description of that, especially when you get into the graphite.
Yeah.
So again, if you look at this one, it has that nice weave down there.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of heavy materials kind of in this part of the shaft, so you're not feeling a ton down there. All right. So this is gonna be a traditional 3 wood here, but a very high launching head.
Okay.
So we wanna see if that is actually gonna hold true for your move.
Ooh, this feels light, even lighter.
It is. The head's gonna feel a little lighter here now.
which I like for some reason.
It's been the norm for a while. Look at that. So this is achieving our feel as far as contact and our shot shape. And our spin's a little more under control because we're playing traditional 3-wood, which is nice. Love that too. With you being a player that's not going to be attacking a lot of par 5s, height isn't as a big of a deal as consistent contact and shape. Because off the tee, we're obviously going to get more height. And being able to get maybe a little bit more out of a traditional 3-wood over a 5 off the tee on short par 4s, things like that, it's just going to inflate your iron game. All right, so this is going to be a more upright head here. Again, high launching profile though. And you should feel a little bit more explosion if the strike's still well. Absolutely perfect right there. Now how different did that feel?
This feels light.
Okay, which is what we like.
Which is what I like.
Correct.
It feels good.
And so we got a little bit more height out of that. So the last head we had was launching at about 8.8, 8.5 degrees. We got that up to 9.5 at the same loft. I don't mind that either. A little tighter on the shape here too. I like that. And so with your release pattern, these mid-flighted shafts over something high launching is going to be better for your contact. So for you, we're going to try to get the head to get the ball elevated rather than the shaft. I love that. This is our 5-wood traditionally, so you're 8.8 on the launch, so that's on the lower side for a 5-wood. So right away, we're getting the ball a little more airborne with the head. And then we changed shafts in the last one, which was pretty good, but consistency-wise wasn't great. And then we started moving into the lighter weight heads, which we liked. So I brought our dispersion better there. Still moving a little right, so that's called the spin axis right there. That's the number we're gonna pay attention to for people that like to fade the ball. But we're still getting the ball airborne with a traditional 3-wood. So that's, really the head is working for you, getting the ball in the air at a 15-degree loft. And then we get into this head here. I think a no-brainer. This one you thinned, so that average looks a little low. How's this head look for you?
Good.
Okay.
How is this different than the last one?
The lie angle's different. So lie angle and a little lower spinning, and you just smoked that. How'd that feel?
Good.
Good shape there too. I like the height, a little higher.
A little higher. I'm not able to swing very hard right now, so it's nice to see it kind of jump off the face.
And so that's a cool point too about lie angle change with woods here. So it being a little flatter allows it to kind of droop down. That's why we saw that elevated. So the more upright it is, the harder it is to kind of get the ball elevated because of the way it's entering. How was the contact there? Still pretty good?
It's solid.
I love this. We might have found the head here.
That's pretty good, man. This is the same head.
They're different models. So the M6 series, so a little bit more forgiveness here. Still low spin. TaylorMade heads tend to be on the lower spin, high launching.
Yep.
A little bit more high launching technically out of that. But again, so the lie angle is really important for you. So getting that lie angle proper gets the ball in the air a little bit and the contact a little more crisp. See how much straighter that went?
Yep.
Even when you hit it solid? I mean, the spin axis on that was almost dead zero. Strike, 2 swings in a row here, strike's not good. So try your best not to adapt. And we'll move on if we can't get this one in the middle.
I like it. I like
the look of it's nice, right? That was hit well. So really good ball, but still we're not seeing the same ball speed that we're seeing with the other. And it's kind of leaking a little bit. All right, so now we got our head dialed in. Now we're gonna try some different shafts. Now we're gonna really fine tune, if we can, obviously, because that was pretty damn good right there. Big thing for me when I'm looking at this stuff is really getting the circle tight, but we're still achieving the shot shape. And so that's been our tightest number right there out of anything.
And that's right where I want to be.
Exactly. The tightest hit I thought was good, but it was moving a lot on you both ways. Yeah, and even your 5-wood, we see that spin axis going 6.6 and it's kind of getting away from you. Whereas this one's keeping you really nice and under control at a 3-wood. All right, so this is gonna be a little bit stiffer. Not much, it's gonna be stiffer in a different spot, if that makes sense. Again, this is another one of those fairway only models. Still mid-flighted profile, but a little more higher trajectory than a standard shaft would be. Good. Exactly. And that's your head doing a lot of that work because we're getting a shaft now that we can strike a little more consistently. And that's why we moved away from that Patterson in the beginning, is to make sure we're not wasting a lot of swings. That was still under control in my opinion too. Now again, not quite as tight as the first shaft either though. I think that's the biggest takeaway from fitting is having that miss be really under control to allow you to still try to score. Yep. All right, so this is gonna be a little bit softer, again, mid-launching profile. A little bit heavier weight too. You shouldn't feel the weight as much either, okay? So it should still feel pretty balanced for you.
Okay. I think I actually like kind of having a shaft with a little bit of flex in it.
Yeah, it's nice, right?
Yeah, is that?
You know, as you develop and start understanding equipment, getting the proper flex, and it's not always based on speed because, you know, different speeds have different impact positions. But if we're not flexing the shaft, we cannot create energy. And we can't create consistency and timing and strike and things like that. So we can place something firmer and stiff and where it's stiff and things like that, allow us to have a little bit more consistency. But the biggest thing for us is creating that energy, making sure we're maximizing the golf club. That's where flex comes into play.
Yeah, man.
I like this, dude. I think we keep it here.
This club is good.
I think we keep it right there. So the biggest takeaways from this is we got the dispersion a little tighter, but more importantly, our contact was more consistent. So that's our smash factor, consistently at 149, 150, and our miss is only at 147. So that's the most efficient you can be with this type of golf club. And historically not being very successful with a golf club like this, I think is a huge, huge win. All right, guys, just going over the recap here with Cordy. Really struggled with some clubs in between the 4-iron and the driver. So traditionally he's been playing a 5-wood. Wasn't bad, but you know, not quite as tight as we'd like it. So we actually went with a 3-wood, but more importantly, we were looking for something in the profile of the head that got the ball in the air because we wanted to stay in a more of a mid-launching, mid-weight type of shaft so he can see the ball kind of fall right. We gained contact, consistency, and height with the traditional 3-wood. I think those are all big wins for Corey and kind of growing his long game and being able to hit off the tee, plus being a little bit more comfortable off the ground.
So a few interesting things that I noticed was one of the shafts felt lighter than the other one, but you said they were the same weight.
Correct.
And I like the feel of the lighter one. So what's that all about?
So we talked about the balance points of some of the shafts. So it's the materials, you know, certain gram weights are a little more fluctuated based on the materials that the manufacturer's going for. So balance points come for, you know, high balance, mid balance, low balance. So first shaft we tried was in that same kind of 72 gram profile, but very low balance, lots of flex at the bottom. So he's feeling a lot of the weight. For you, didn't feel right, didn't feel like he could load it or have a consistent timing. So that's kind of why we moved into these other shafts where the similar weights where the balance point was a little better.
That was a huge change for me because it felt like they were going left, they were going right.
Correct.
Literally couldn't find the club face with that different weighting.
Exactly.
And is that just because we get used to what we're used to and then?
It's just the way people time up their swing. So, you know, as a fitter, you really have to pay attention to the idiosyncrasies and ask a lot of questions to the player. Even if they might not give you a great feedback, you can still kind of use your eyes and pay attention, and they're gonna try to explain it to the best of their ability what they're trying to feel. And then as a fitter, you try to guide them in the right direction, what's gonna help everyone.
So the other really interesting thing when we were back grabbing clubs, as you talked about, I said I never liked the 3-wood, I could only hit the 5-wood, and you said the way that I was using it, I needed something to help get me higher, that I couldn't hit a traditional 3-wood. What was that again?
Well, basically with your attack angle and kind of you hit down on it, we were trying to use loft, but with some of these newer age heads, they tend to launch the ball a little higher nowadays with better spin. So we wanted to try to fit with the 3-wood first, and it actually worked out well for us because, you know, he's looking more for a T-ball anyway, which is gonna give some added height, but we did gain some more launch over the 5-wood with the 3-wood. So that just goes into the newer technology and how that's helping people in this day and age.
Perfect, man. This was awesome.
Yeah,
we
had a
went
great
through
time.
A bunch of different shafts, a bunch of different club heads. I think he had 6 out there at one point.
Yeah.
And we found the one.
Yeah, we found this is the combo. It's great.
That was great, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks,
Corey, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
Cool.